going to get started with our next panel. Thank you so much for sticking around here at eBridge. We are having fantastic time today. All our panels have been phenomenal, and I will not expect anything less for our next panel. So I'm going to introduce your moderator for today, for this amazing panel, and I will ask Steve Perez to come up on stage. Are you going to stay on stage or downstairs? Okay. I'm going to introduce Steve Perez. He will be moderating the panel, our next panel right now, which is AI Across Borders. I can't wait to hear all the great content we're going to hear from our panelists. So without further ado, welcome, panelists. And Steve, the mic is yours.
All right. Do we have those slides? We'll wait a few seconds. All right. Okay. Alrighty. So, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Steve Perez. I'm with Velox Global Solutions. I've been importing and exporting since the mid-90s, and I'm also a coder since 1983. But let me go ahead and pass over to the panelists. We'll go ahead and introduce each other, right?
Que se dedica a la importación de diferentes tipos de mercancías, figura bajo un esquema que se llama comercializadoras, es decir, no somos los dueños de las mercancías, sin embargo, damos soporte que contribuye a facilitar que las mercancías lleguen a los destinos en México.
Gracias, Carlos. Humberto nos visita de Monterrey, México. Adelante, Humberto, ¿nos introduces?
Hola a todos, buenas tardes. Mi nombre es Humberto Rodriguez. Vengo de la compañía Roca, Maquinados Industriales, con sede en Monterrey, Nuevo León. Y nos dedicamos básicamente a la fabricación de piezas metálicas para la industria manufacturera. Hacemos refacciones, o partes consumibles para sus máquinas de producción. Gracias.
Okay, gracias, Humberto. And Jaime, can you introduce yourself? You can do it in English if you feel better.
Hello, my name is Jaime Diez. I'm here on behalf of the RGV Blockchain Initiative. So I started this back in 2022. When COVID started, I was a year out of college, and I got really into Bitcoin, learning about that. And I went online to see more or less where I could learn more about it. And I went on meetup.com, and I saw that Austin, Texas had all these communities set up for people to gather. So remember, I signed up to one meetup, drove to Austin, went there, moved back. And after a couple of those, I said, wow, in Brownsville, really, we don't have a good center for people to get together with similar interests and talk about them. So I started my own meetup, and I did that for maybe a year. And after doing them for a year, I'm like, well, look, this is all nonprofit. I mean, so I started a nonprofit to start doing the little classes, classes as RGV or the RGV Blockchain Initiative. We've been going for about 2 years. We went on a short hiatus, but we will have a meeting next Tuesday. So if anyone's interested in that, you can find us on meetup.com, Bitcoin Brownsville. And I also left some flyers on the table.
Okay, thank you, Jaime. Thanks for that. So the subject is AI across borders and what we see. Obviously, we're not the creators of AI, but obviously we use it. And AI is going to touch everything in the supply chain, everything. And just to give you some stats, some trade stats, in the global trade, 25.3 trillion. It's a lot of trade. In the U.S., between U.S. and Mexico, it's roughly around 800 billion. And in our border, it's 15. Used to be 6 a few years ago. So we're growing. So let's go ahead and start. Jaime, how do you see AI, a mixed blend of things going on with AI, Bitcoin, smart contracts? What would be your comments on that, Jaime?
So I want to start off just by talking about blockchain, right? Because people throw around lots of buzzwords like AI, blockchain, and people are like, okay, sounds great, but what does that mean? So just start off, what is a blockchain? If you ever, you've all seen Excel spreadsheets, right? How you've got different rows on them. A blockchain, all that means is that the new entry onto your Excel spreadsheet contains a reference to the entry prior to it. So like, for example, like my name Jaime. My name Jaime, it's 5 characters, Jaime. What I would do is I would pass my name Jaime through a hash function. My hash function would give me an output of a fixed size, right? So it would give me maybe 20 characters. That's a digital fingerprint. And the thing is, I could do that with my name, or I could do it with the Bible, or any string of characters. This gives me my digital ID that when I'm adding a new entry to my blockchain, I would include that in the most recent entry, and that's where you get the whole chain of the whole sequence lining itself up. I also want to comment that blockchains in and of themselves, right now with I guess the VC atmosphere and all that, people just want to include it just to get more money and more excitement around their product, but not all blockchains are created equally. I think it's important to reference that. Some blockchains are better than others. The benefit in Bitcoin's blockchain is that you can download the entire Bitcoin history and run it yourself on your local computer, right? So that might not mean anything to some people here. But like, for example, when you talk with Amazon, right, or when you go on Amazon.com, you're talking to their server. So you're sending them, I want this information, I'll send it back to you. With Bitcoin, because it's lightweight, you basically download it on your computer, and you're able to reference your own history of what's happened. So now that we got what a blockchain is out of the way, I want to talk about Bitcoin as a payment system. So Bitcoin, it's not only, just the software. It's also a way for you to transfer value across the world. There's a lady called Lynn Alden, and she has a very good analogy. She says that all of these different countries are different islands. So like, for example, you have the country of Malaysia, and they have their own currency. You have the island of Japan, they have their own currency. You have the island of Croatia, they have their own currency. And the thing is that how do you string these countries all these islands together, right? And that's the what the dollar currently fits. The dollar becomes intermediary. So if I'm in Malaysia and I want to transact with Japan, most likely I would go get my currency, trade that currency for dollars, and take those dollars and exchange those dollars for the Japanese currency, right, in order to be able to exchange with them. With Bitcoin, now we have a different payment network that we could use. We can, if you're Japanese, you can go. There's a currency pair for yen to, I hope it's yen, from yen to Bitcoin, and you can transact directly with Malaysia. So it kind of does turn it on its head. And there's even strategies, for example, because a lot of people might not want to hold Bitcoin in the long run. So, or they might not want to be exchanging currencies, over and over again. Yeah. So one thing you could do is you could actually hold Bitcoin and short it. So that way you have zero price exposure except for what the price of that contract costs you. And finally, in relation to AI, which I guess everybody wants to hear about, when you're developing AI platforms, one issue is how do you get data that's proprietary? So what you could do is you could develop an AI platform and send it Bitcoin. So this AI platform could actually go scrape the internet, find basically APIs or application programming interfaces that it needs to get data out from to train itself. So it could actually do this and then actually charge people to use the software that it was able to develop for itself by getting paid in Bitcoin. So now with Bitcoin and AI, you've got a native payment layer for the internet.
Yeah. Thank you, Jaime. And obviously, if you want to know more, that's why you need to join the membership. But in the payment process, Carlos, if you were to get paid within seconds on a Sunday afternoon to do a Mexican import, ¿te lo puedo decir en español? Bitcoin, si te pagarían el domingo a las 4 de la tarde para hacer una operación el lunes, ¿te favorecía eso? ¿Un pago electrónico rápido? Sin duda, ¿verdad?
Sin duda.
So, eso ayuda para el comercio e-commerce, ¿ok? Hacer transacciones rápidas. Do transactions instantly, especially on Saturdays and Sundays or whenever, right? So we'll pass on to the next topic. AI is now doing this. This is totally awesome for us that were born many years ago. So AI is going to be able to translate in real time. I speak 200 languages now. Ooh, cool. But anyway, so Doug, how do you see this in your industry, like virtual reality, AR, etc.? Go ahead, Doug.
Okay, so AI works a couple of different ways regarding what we're doing in education and regarding what we do in VR. In education, we have a learning management system that already works in 50 languages. And so we can take a video, a recording right now of you in Spanish doing a lecture, and then we can convert that to English, Italian, French. It'll keep your tone of voice. It will lip sync it. It will look like you know that language, like you grew up with it. And it allows us to put it into the LMS. So if a business has employees in multiple countries and they want them all to learn it the same way, well, we are producing the content the same way. The video doesn't change, the animations do not change, but the language is connected extensively to that individual. Now, the second part with virtual reality, in virtual reality, there's essentially three segments that it really can make an effect. One is in education, the other is in therapy, and the third is something called digital twins. Now, in education, it's very relevant because as I speak to you, on average, you're going to remember about 5% of what I say. Books 10, videos 20. Virtual reality has a 75% retention. It is a phenomenal tool, but you have to be very strategic about it because you just can't wear the device all day. So you have to be strategic in how it moves back and forth from the computer instruction to the virtual reality. Now, in therapy, it's being used for seizures and for stroke patients. But in digital twins, what are we talking about here? Well, let's say you have a factory, and we go in, we scan the factory. Now we turn it into a virtual environment. Now we put sensors all throughout your factory, and we collect data, reams of data that is analyzed through an AI system. That AI system starts to make suggestions of improvements. Then we can run simulations of those improvements and get to a 95 to 98% probability of what those improvements will do before you spend the first dime on your factory. So, there's significant issues in all three elements, going from education with AI and then into therapy with VR and VR AI with the digital twins.
Okay, thanks, Doug. And on top of that, because that's post-production, in real time, you could be communicating with somebody, and somebody in Germany can be talking German. I speak Spanish. Carlos speaks Spanish. I speak English,
Absolutely, that's
and we
coming
all
too.
Able to do it in real time.
So lectures.
Lectures.
Right now, hablo poquito español, right? So, but it could actually be converting what I'm saying. It could be picked up over the internet, and people would understand and would look like I'm pretty good at Spanish, which I'm not. But it's coming for all of us. It's going to let us speak in multiple languages and be able to translate back to us so that we understand what each other is saying.
Okay, thanks, Doug. En español, Carlos, un traductor universal te ayudaría en tu negocio para importar más en México, especialmente clientes que a veces hablan otro idioma, a lo mejor el inglés sí lo platicas, pero ¿cómo te ayudaría este tipo de AI herramienta para tu negocio como importador mexicano?
De hecho, para todo el tipo de actividad de comercialización entre países, tener un vínculo de conexión a través de, por ejemplo, la inteligencia artificial para facilitar la comunicación es increíble. O sea, sin duda favorece porque reduce muchísimo los márgenes de error de interpretación y suposición de lo que se dice de un lado y de otro, ¿sabes? Es decir, de esta manera creo que facilita mucho la comprensión y pues la certidumbre de las operaciones que están haciendo. O sea, eso es fundamental. Máximo que están, no es una comercialización que tienes con un vecino a la vuelta de la esquina, posiblemente lo tienes al otro lado del mundo, y la comunicación clara, concreta, significativamente es una ayuda importantísima.
Increíble, ¿verdad? Humberto, ¿tendrías un comentario, una nota sobre si alguien te hablara de Japón, no habla español y quiere hablar contigo para producir algo contigo? ¿Te ayudaría esta tecnología?
Sí, igual, definitivamente la eficacia de la comunicación. La eficacia de la comunicación, no usar un traductor, una persona que te esté traduciendo y tal vez alguna indicación específica en la pieza que te están pidiendo, pues no la haya mencionado el traductor. Y pues ya con la inteligencia artificial, pues sería más certera la comunicación, más eficiente.
Gracias, Humberto. Okay, I'm going to pass to the next topic. So AI, and this is e-commerce, okay? How will AI help B2C trade? Okay, lo voy a decir en español, Carlos. Esto es para asistir a los importadores pequeños o exportadores pequeños en México. ¿Cómo te ayudaría inteligencia artificial a hacer más fácil a los exportadores o importadores? Que no tienen que ser maquilas, estamos hablando e-commerce. Cuando hablamos de e-commerce, más para que todos estemos con la misma definición, son compras pequeñas, como me habías dicho, Humberto, y si nos quieres decir de tu
La experiencia del libro. El año pasado, les platico un poquito, el año pasado tuve que pedirle el favor a una sobrina que vive acá en Austin para que me pudiera conseguir un libro por Amazon, porque creo que estaba en Inglaterra, el libro era de Inglaterra, pero Amazon México no lo traía, no lo llevaba a Monterrey, y yo no podía comprar por Amazon Estados Unidos, entonces un desbarajuste. Lo que terminé haciendo fue pedir el favor a la sobrina en Austin que ella comprara el libro para que le llegara a ella y luego la mandara a McAllen el libro y luego recogerlo yo cuando tuviera una vuelta para acá. O sea, fue un show para ti. Un libro.
Ahora imagínate cuando salgo de comida, como yo siempre me quejo, ¿y el pan de pulque? ¿Y el pan de pulque? Pero bueno, adelante, Carlos, ¿cómo mirarías tú para cosas que no sean de maquiladora, verdad? Empresas pequeñas, ¿eso te ayudaría a incrementar tu negocio? ¿Verías alguna manera de trabajar con eso?
Sí, sin duda. Es decir, hay muchas mercancías que no tienes ni siquiera la noción de que existen y que de alguna manera pues, inciden en buena forma para el fortalecimiento de tu empresa, como está poniendo el ejemplo del libro, pero puede ser una pieza, puede ser una máquina de acceso para lugares de cero partículas de polvo, en fin, no sé, estoy poniendo ejemplos que se me están ocurriendo, pero significativamente la ayuda es muy buena. ¿Por qué? Porque te abre la posibilidad a tener el mercado directamente desde la pantalla de tu computadora. Digo, lo hemos visto, probablemente no es un tema que sea novedad, hay que reconocerlo, es decir, el comercio digital existe desde hace un buen tiempo, pero en la medida que se incorpora la inteligencia artificial, abre una ventana todavía mucho más amplia para poder tener la identificación de más mercancías, ¿sabes?
Gracias, Carlos. Y nomás para que sepan el público, el gobierno mexicano y el gobierno americano acaban de cambiar las regulaciones en los últimos años. Y eso es lo que va a facilitar el e-commerce y el AI, ayuda a hacer otras cosas más rápidas. Por eso lo tenemos en este tema.
Can I just add one thing real fast?
Adelante.
So, I mean, getting outside of just e-commerce, another interesting thing that having a native money for the internet allows for is also sourcing labor from across the world. So, I mean, one of the issues right now if you're dealing with a foreign country is also credit risk. So if I'm getting, I don't know, hired by somebody in Mexico, I mean, unless I know them, I mean, I'm going to be like, hey, how do I know you're going to be able to pay me?
Yeah.
With something like Bitcoin, what you could do is you could send money to a wallet, right? So let's say I send one Bitcoin to this wallet. And in order to spend from that wallet, you need two signatories, right? One being my own and one being an independent third party, like yourself. And I can say, hey, I need this program written up. You would be a programming expert in this case. So I would basically put this on the internet. People would basically write code, submit them to my friend, and then at that point, when he sees code that works, he gets signed with the other key and pay that third party from anywhere in the world.
Yeah.
So you're also able to open up your workforce to everybody. Now with AI and machine learning and VR, a big part of that is training your data sets. And we're going to have to utilize, I mean, a lot of people for this. And I think that Bitcoin provides us a really good opportunity to basically bring people from other nationalities into the fold.
Yeah, correct. Thank you, Jaime, for that input. Okay, so I'm going to pass over to the next one. So here, Humberto, see how this benefits you. Obviously, AI and tools are now converting pictures into 3D objects. Obviously, it's not 100% precision, but y me voy a cambiar a español. Las herramientas de inteligencia artificial, últimamente, hay muchas herramientas que agarran una foto y a veces dicen, oye, necesito ver si me puedes producir esto, necesito si me haces esto, pero a veces, muchas veces son fotos. ¿Cómo ves tú con la inteligencia artificial haciéndote esa foto en una 3D, ¿verdad? 3D dimensional? Tal vez con VR te ayudaría a acelerar esa cotización o acelerar ese tipo de... Obviamente no son blueprints, ¿verdad? Pero por lo menos es mejor que un handkerchief, ¿no? O es mejor que una foto. ¿Qué comentarios tendrías, Humberto?
Sí, por ejemplo, muchas veces el primer acercamiento que hay con un cliente o con el ingeniero de una empresa, el primer acercamiento de urgencia es la fotografía de una pieza que ya está dañada o que necesitan la refacción de la misma. Y muchas veces, te digo, la primera, por la facilidad del teléfono, te mandan una fotografía y te preguntan un estimado del costo, que le pases un estimado del precio. Pero en la fotografía pues no tienes dimensiones, no tienes nada, o sea, y luego le dices, bueno, ¿cuáles son las medidas de la pieza? No es que no tengo los planos de trabajo, es que no puedo detener la máquina, no puedo detener la producción para quitar la pieza, dimensionarla y decirte cuánto mide. Entonces te dejan entre la espada y la pared y no puedes cotizar, no puedes mandarles un precio. Entonces, pienso yo que usando la inteligencia artificial podría facilitar las cosas en cuestión de que se pueda dimensionar con un modelo en 3D y poder dimensionar aproximadamente la distancia de los diámetros o los largos de la pieza y poder pasar una cotización estimada también.
Sí,
pero ya de perdido tienen una estimación del costo.
Y está más alto tu
sí,
exactitud,
y
¿no?
exacto.
Está a 10%, estás a un 80%.
Sí, ya está más cercano el precio real de la pieza. Y agilizarías mucho, reducirías mucho el tiempo.
Exactamente. Gracias, Humberto. Carlos,
Y sí, como complemento de lo que se está comentando acá, también para efectos de aduana, esos detalles son bien importantes. Sí. Efectos de aduana y efectos logísticos, porque tienes que determinar en qué tipo de vehículo lo vas a transportar y las dimensiones que puedas figurar a través de la inteligencia artificial también son bastante, pues, una herramienta bastante buena. Y dos, para efecto de la aduana les da una idea mucho más clara del tipo de mercancía que se está teniendo. Se puede precotizar la importación de tal suerte que al momento que llega la mercancía a la frontera ya tienes la documentación lista para que puedas hacer el cruce de inmediato y puedes hacer un servicio mucho más ágil y expedito. Entonces, este tipo de herramientas también contribuye significativamente en lo que tiene que ver pues con los procedimientos aduaneros, sin duda.
Correcto, porque teniendo la foto, Humberto va a saber, pues este gear va en este equipo, y luego tú, Carlos, lo ves, este equipo va en esta fracción, entonces se va complementando y la mercancía todavía no llega. Y es una descripción más elaborada, que nomás una foto y pues no sé, es una parte de avión, mételo ahí. Y luego después la aduana te
Sí, y muchas veces, por ejemplo, tú puedes hacer una descripción verbal de la mercancía que cuando llega a la frontera pues es totalmente otra diferente y resulta que el costo estimado de importación que tú habías hecho cambia significativamente porque lo que estás describiendo no es exactamente igual a lo que está llegando, ¿sabes? O puede ser igual, pero puede tener, digamos, una diferente aplicación, diferente uso que cuando lo expresas de manera verbal puede generar una confusión, ¿sabes?
Exactamente. Y si es en alemán, tienes inteligencia artificial.
Peor.
Más complicado todavía.
Sí, y lo que me gusta a mí también agregando en esto es que si tus técnicos o algo tienen un párrafo elaborado de descripción, se lo mandas a AI y te lo da en inglés o en cualquier lenguaje y es más preciso la fracción o la importación. Did you have a comment, Doug?
Sure. So absolutely, we can convert 2D to 3D objects very easy. We can lay different maps over them. So maybe it looks like leather, steel, whatever you want. Yeah. But then the second layer of magic happens when you can export it into a program like Omniverse, where now we can say, okay, this is a certain steel, a certain type of metal. What is the tension? What is this going to do when we do this? We built this ship. Now we've got crosswinds.
Yes.
Now we've got undertow. What's going to happen when we do this? And you can do these simulations and again get to those high levels of probability in through the computer interface before you go and start doing your first tool and die. Yeah.
Thank you, Doug. Okay, let me pass on to the next object. Okay, this has to do with trust, confianza. Okay, Carlos or Jaime, if you want to chime in. This has to do with authentication. Okay, AI. If you move one little pixel, it'll say this. I don't trust this document. You see how that works? So with AI, using authentication or digital signatures, y me voy a cambiar a español, usando la herramienta de inteligencia artificial y para poder tener más confianza en los documentos, porque cualquiera puede inventar un packing list, cualquiera puede inventar una factura, pero con este tipo de blockchain y seguridad, si le mueves un píxel, tú tienes la confianza que ese documento ha sido alterado. ¿Te ayudaría ese tipo de concepto usando esas herramientas para la aduana mexicana?
Sí, volvemos a lo mismo. Si el alcance de esta herramienta es a tal magnitud, así como lo están planteando, pues, sin duda es una ayuda impresionante. Actualmente hay firmas digitales que te dan certidumbre en los documentos, pero al final del día, si el trazo de la caligrafía de una firma también se puede precisar a nivel de píxeles a través de la inteligencia artificial, pues evidentemente también te da mucho más certidumbre de no alteración de documentos.
Ese es el punto que quería dar. Go ahead, Jaime.
So just to explain how this works a little bit more thoroughly, so this is based on public-private key cryptography, and I'm going to give a silly example, but I think this is the best way to explain it. Actually, I heard this from Nelson. Nelson works in the BCIC. So to get an example like Chirinas, that won the pitch competition yesterday. Congratulations to them. So in this case, Chirina's private key would be their recipe, right, for their salsa. I mean, I have no idea what's in it, But the thing is that once you put it into the blender and they put it on my taco, I can taste it and be like, that's the sauce from Chirinas, right? I'm not sure how to make it, but I can taste it. And for example, give me a different taco, or I mean a taco instead of being a fish, maybe like a steak taco, but you put the same sauce in there. I'm like, okay, I know that this taco came from Chirinas because it's the same salsa. Only they know how to make it. It goes the exact same thing with this. For example, if you get an email, how do you know that the person that sent you that email is that actual person, right? Yeah. And usually how you do this is by signing it with your private key, which is your recipe. And then you would have a public database that has all of these public keys stored into it. So you would go on the database, get the public key, get this document that's signed by a private key, and then using some weird mathematics that I can't explain to you, you're basically able to prove that only that private key can generate for you that signature.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, it gives you authentication, hashtags, and you can trust the data.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Doug.
From the most simplest perspective, what Bitcoin will do is allow you to get paid instantly, and it's secure. So you don't have to wait a day for the bank to process it or a week. It's immediate. It's in your account. It's right there the moment it happens, and you can release whatever it is that you're selling to the other person. That's for me, and that's what makes it so compelling, and banks and credit card companies so scared.
That is true. Thank you for that comment. Okay, so let me. Seems to be stuck. Do I need to get over here? Oh. Okay, the last one. This will be the last one. So AI mapping, and this is very interesting, using VR technology to be able to repair stuff across countries, across real-time assistance, and obviously in any language. Do you have any remarks on that, Doug?
Well, the other thing that is starting to evolve with AI is something called haptic response, where it makes it feel like you're grabbing things. And as this evolves, we're going to be able to teach someone in another country how to change the filter on whatever device it is. Maybe it's some type of unique generator, and we'll be able to show them how to do it, and they'll be able to practice it and blow it up 5 times and before they really get it down and do it for real. I think the other thing also that's important with this is the capability of meetings. You could be in Japan, I'll be in Brownsville. Let's go to the factory in Pennsylvania. And we'll all be there, and we'll be able to see exactly what's going on and understand at the same time. So there's a lot to this beyond just the language. It's the meeting. It's feeling like you're there. Yeah. And then, the VR also, you have to think about XR, extended reality, where reality becomes the background. And so you'll be able to come over to my house, we'll have a party, everybody will be there, but no one's there. Okay? Makes cleanup a breeze. But the point is, you'll be able to have those kinds of interactions as this evolves.
Okay, thank you, Doug. So let me go ahead and open it up for a Q&A. If anybody has any questions over these tools that were presented today. Obviously, we're using AI in e-commerce, international trade. Carlos is using it for importing maquila stuff. Anybody have any questions? Or any comments from the panel? Okay. Nope. That's fine. Go, where? You want to take the microphone? Because they're recording it. That's fine.
Hello. For someone that wants to start with the e-commerce, what would you say will be the first step for us to take in order to implement AI for our business? What would you say the first step is?
Okay, anybody want to add that or you want me?
Translate it again.
Ya, él está diciendo en inglés que para comenzar con hacer comercio e-commerce, que es para los importadores y exportadores pequeños, ¿qué tendrían que hacer? Ir a tu webpage, ¿verdad? Para registrarse y nomás poner la información, así de fácil. Ya. ¿Quieres elaborar algo, Carlos?
Sí, es decir, definitivamente hay que seguir las regulaciones de cada país, independientemente de las facilidades técnicas que pueda existir para tener la fluidez del comercio, ¿sabes? Cada país tiene sus restricciones, sus regulaciones y pues hay que sujetarse a ellas. Lo que favorece la parte digital, la parte de la inteligencia artificial, la parte de las herramientas, la parte financiera, es hacerlo más ágil de alguna manera. Si las pequeñas empresas pueden, o sea, quisieran accesar al e-commerce, pues sí, o sea, al final del día ahorita existe estas operaciones. Lo único que buscamos es que con estas nuevas estrategias, que con estas nuevas herramientas se haga mucho más ágil de lo que ahorita es. No sé si eso resuelve tu pregunta.
Sí, gracias, Carlos. Did that help answer?
I would.
Go ahead, Doug.
I think the other thing to think about is some of the standard things you have to do with business and how AI can help you answer those questions. Like, who is your customer? And having AI help you with that. Sustainability, scalability. Okay? Those can be really tough questions sometimes when you're just trying to search the internet for for a broad swath of data. And AI can a lot of times help you zero in on it. But I also want to add with AI, we can't just always accept it in what it says. What we have to do, whatever answer you get, you need to know why it's the answer. Because you can only make a good decision once you know why AI arrived at that answer. So we should never blindly accept it and just do what it says. And that's the end result of this, is we're going to get information more quickly. But what our skill set needs to be as people is we have to have exceptional decision-making skills. And that's what we need to evolve and develop.
I think another important thing is also data collection. So I mean, I'm not sure if you're using a third party like Spotify, if you're using your own software, but definitely asking for all the logs and trying to parse information that's relevant out of there, and start building your own models and kind of tinkering. I would say that's probably the best way to start building out some models to get some kind of, because I mean, what you want at the end of the day is some actionable predictions, right? So I think that would be a good first step.
Okay. Anybody else have a question? Okay. Alrighty. So, why don't you share something? Go ahead.
Otro comentario respecto a, digamos, a facilitar la fluidez del comercio. Bueno, es como la empresa que nosotros ponemos a su disposición. Es, digamos que muchas veces los pequeños importadores no tienen la noción clara de cómo hacer un proceso de importación, dado que te digo, pues cada país tiene sus regulaciones, particularmente en el caso del destino hacia el que yo me involucro, que es el interior hacia México, y en su caso también traer mercancías a Estados Unidos. Pues hay que seguir las regulaciones que muchas veces algunos pequeños importadores pues están en desconocimiento de lo que hay que hacer, de lo que hay que cumplir. Entonces, la idea es también contribuir con el soporte para que puedan llegar con este tipo de herramientas y que puedan llegar de manera ágil y rápida al destino que se busca, ¿sabes?
Okay, gracias, Carlos. En resumen, nomás para que sepa el público, y ahorita lo voy a decir en inglés también, las reglas han cambiado. So, si quieres comprar algo en México de $800 para abajo, no necesitas tantas regulaciones. Eso es lo que ha cambiado. Y para México sí se requiere un poquito, pero por eso está Carlos como MX Importer, se puede conciliar y pagas menos. So, las reglas han cambiado, es lo que estoy diciendo, por lo menos en el e-commerce. En lo industrial sigue igual, porque hemos estado muchos años en las maquilas y importaciones y exportaciones, sigue igual. Aquí nomás estamos hablando de e-commerce, cosas chiquitas, ¿verdad? Como estaba mencionando hace rato, ¿dónde está el pan de pulque? Que no puedo comprar pan de pulque, es just 5 horas. Voy a decirlo en inglés, I'm going to change to English. We're talking about e-commerce, small stuff, we're not talking about big stuff. We're not talking industrial. Carlos does industrial every day. That's not the issue. We pay the taxes, we pay regulations, a lot of permits, whatever. On the U.S. side, the same thing, U.S. Customs. We're talking about small stuff, like, for example, ordering something from Saltillo, as simple as pan de pulque or a book that Humberto wanted to read. A $20 book, he can't get it. That's ridiculous. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and conclude it with 2 slides. Just a little bit of a history marker. Everybody look to your left. That building is Stillman's house. I don't want to feature the founder. The founder was Charles. He came from Connecticut and established here in Matamoros. But he was a trader. He didn't go to the University of Texas. He just set up a little shack, started buying and selling stuff. Trader number 1. But look at what his son did. Anybody know James? James Stillman, born 1850. Where? Connecticut? No. Brownsville, Texas. This is his house. And he was a banker, obviously. Where did he get all some money that he established a bank? Trade, you know. Even recently, a post in X, reading a portrait of the banker, it's another book. This author put Stillman above J.P. Morgan. Isn't that interesting? Trade. You can do it now. Small stuff. We can do the big stuff. You're just going to have to pay me $3,000 to do that, but you don't want to pay me that. You want to do the small stuff where you can do $12, $18, $30. And on some occasions, you don't have to pay taxes on the U.S. side. On the Mexican side, I'm sorry, you got to pay taxes. All righty. Thank you very much, panelists. Thank you for coming, and we'll go ahead and close it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yo no traigo.
Traigo acá.
Pero te puedo dar mi número. ¿Estás en LinkedIn? ¿Sabes? ¿Estás en LinkedIn? No, no estoy.
Buenas tardes. Ahorita a las 4